Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joe Malash, Superintendent of Cherry Hill Public School District, and we are live at 5. This is our first online piece that we're doing early in the evening at 5 p.m. Typically, each month I do an online lunch, and each time we do the lunch, I like to share what I have for my lunch. But since it's 5 o'clock, it is way past lunchtime. I do have a little snack on the table, just some pretzels. I like to have a little crunch in the middle of the afternoon, and a clementine. And I received a new mug. It says, "Be kind." No worries, though. I have water in here. I do like the mug, but it's water. It is not coffee. A little later in the day for coffee, so a little water is good for me. I'm very excited today because I have two very special guests with me, people that I've gotten to know very well through the years, and I'm thrilled that they're here with me this afternoon. First, to your left, to my far right, is Dr. Lawyer Chapman. Dr. Chapman is here. Dr. Chapman and I have been colleagues for 15 years. Dr. Chapman currently serves as the principal at the Alternative High School, and he's also the co-chair of the district's Character Education, Cultural Proficiency, and Equity Committee. So I'm very excited that Dr. Chapman is with me today. And sitting directly to my right, to your left, is Ms. Kathleen Jenkins. Ms. Jenkins currently is the chairperson of the programs for the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association. Now, we all know that February is Black History Month, and observing and celebrating Black History Month is one of the great things that we get to do within our school system. So that's part of the reason that I asked Dr. Chapman and Ms. Jenkins to join us. As the chair of the programs for the African American Civic Association, Ms. Jenkins has been very involved in bringing new programs to the district. She's going to tell us about the annual contest that the Civic Association runs. In fact, this coming Tuesday, February 27th, if you join us at the Board of Education meeting, you can see who won this year for different grade levels. Always a very great celebration. So I'm excited for Ms. Jenkins to talk to us about her involvement, her role personally, and the role of the association. And Dr. Chapman's going to talk to us about the 5-year plan that our committee recently presented to the board and was adopted by the board, and some of the work that we are doing in Cherry Hill. Many of you have had the opportunity to see it, some of the community conversations and some of the discussions we've had throughout the community during the course of the past year. One of the things that I always talk about is the diversity in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill in 2018 is more diverse today than it ever has been, which makes us a better community. I'm excited to be able to celebrate the differences and the diversity in our community and to talk about truly our history. So, Ms. Jenkins, that's a lot of talking for me in the beginning. So would you just tell us a little bit about the contest that's run each year?
The essay contest is run each year, and this is our 4th annual year. And this year our emphasis is on African Americans in science, technology, engineering, and math. Excellent. And so we've done African American inventors, African Americans in sports, and then African Americans in arts and entertainment. Our essay contest this year was well received. We have a lot of entries, almost 100 entries. Wow. The schools were well represented, both high schools, all middle schools, and a great percentage of the elementary schools. One young man in the elementary school even wrote an essay on his aunt, who is a physician, Dr. Shabazz.
Wow.
So not only were we able to get the students to look at historical figures, but also to look at people in their environment. And so this young man has done that.
That's fantastic.
And so it's like really it's important for us to expose our children to the contributions of everyone, and specifically during Black History Month, we want to see the contributions of African Americans.
Yes.
Okay. So we got a lot of entries and a lot of interest.
That's great.
And across ethnic groups. Of course, we don't know because we haven't seen the children.
Right.
But typically, it's across ethnic groups as well, and age groups from K to 12.
That's fantastic.
So we're excited.
And then Ms. Jenkins, when the entries come into you all, you guys sit down as a group, a small committee gets together to review the entries?
No, the Civic Association is not involved in the judging.
Okay.
So what I do is I number all of the entries, and then we give them to the judges, and the judges know them as numbers.
That's great.
And we've had Chief Monahan, Lieutenant Mahan, and Captain Winters.
Right.
We've had Freeholder Shin and also Freeholder Young as judges.
Wow.
We've had journalists from the Courier Post, Celeste Whitaker.
Sure.
We've had retired educators, Dr. Debbie Bowles. So we really,
That's a distinguished group of people that are judging the entries.
Yes.
Right. It keeps it separate, right? So you don't see the names, and it takes it beyond just the organization.
Yes, and we don't our biases are kept
Sure.
at bay.
Absolutely.
So
And I think it's great because it's that broader community
right.
that we are.
And it's really important for us to broaden our horizons and broaden the children's horizons.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes.
So what would you say, Ms. Jenkins, is your favorite part about doing the contest each year? Because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but the favorite part for me is the education that I get. One year, the NAACP Image Award was given to John Thompson.
Yes.
I did not have a clue who he was, but someone did him as did a poster on him, and he invented some sound equipment.
Right.
But I wouldn't have known that.
Right.
If I didn't review the entries and the essays, because sometimes you have to Google to see.
Absolutely.
Well, who is this person?
That's right. So there are a lot of people out
right.
there, right?
And
which is part of the beauty of the contest.
Yes. And the children are doing such a great job, and they're also educating their teachers and their parents.
Yes, they are.
The teachers one teacher this year videotaped a student for him and submitted it. Yes. So we have everybody involved: the teachers, the parents, and the children.
I love to hear that. It's and I think it's one of the things that we find, and one of the beautiful things, beautiful parts of being an educator. And you were a career educator and dedicated your life to children learning. Dr. Chapman certainly has dedicated his life. It's one of the best things that I get to do is be able to talk to kids.
Yes.
Right. The fact that we can learn from the children, and their opportunity to research and to talk and to explain and to write, just is absolutely incredible. It's what keeps us going when we do, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Ms. Jenkins, can you talk a little bit about a couple of weeks back over at High School West, the African American Culture Club from West and the African American Culture Club from High School East, along with the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association, helped to co-sponsor Still Rising.
Yes.
Tell us about Still Rising.
Still Rising was our celebration of Black History Month. What we wanted to do was put it in a historical context.
Yes.
So we had from 1619 to the present, and we had students that present different either songs or orations or poems to depict those particular eras. We had a band of a musical band. Mr. Leonard was our musical director. He's a staff member here, and he pulled his friends in.
Yes.
One man I supervised as a supervisor in Camden, Bruce Brown, who was he's a school social worker, but he's also a musician. So we had a lot of people in the pit.
Sure.
Right. As you know, Emma Waring was part of the Carusi Jazz Band. So we had a lot of people who did a lot of things.
And Ms. Waring, with Mr. Leonard, one of the other gentlemen playing, Freddie Rodriguez, is one of our night supervisors for the buildings and grounds staff.
Okay.
That sat in too.
Yes. So it was just a family, a very diverse family. Though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which is what we are.
Yeah. A family-oriented production. And we also not only wanted to portray, put the things in a historical context, but we also wanted to recognize living heroes and living trailblazers. And we honored Arthur Lewis, who was a former school board member here. Also, he was the first African American DEA agent.
Right. And
he would tell me stories of how he would go as an undercover DEA agent. A little scary for me, but he did. And during that same time, Wyatt T. Walker passed. It was, and we honored him too as well. So we had a great. It was a great. We had a lot of people doing a lot of things, and we had children doing songs and poems and reading orations from different parts of the in a historical context. So that was great. Ashley Giles and Janine Barnes and Jennifer LaSure were just excellent.
They were incredible.
Yes, very incredible.
It was just a wonderful afternoon of entertainment.
It really was.
And to see the work that the children put into it, to memorize their lines, and some that were original pieces they did, but in that historical context. And I think everybody that was in the audience, and it was a pretty full house for a Saturday afternoon. You could see different, so generationally, right? Different people connected to different pieces that were spoken, or to different music that was being presented in terms of what was there. So again, I'm incredibly grateful. It was a transition, right, for the year in terms of, we've done some stage plays in the past, some original works.
Yes.
The Keisha Nelson and her husband that they worked on. So this was a new piece this year. So wonderful afternoon.
Yes, and we look forward to doing something in the future, and hopefully we'll have a date this year for next year.
That's right. Schedule it early,
yes,
right? We'll get it scheduled early.
Get it
But don't forget,
schedule.
Mrs. Wilson's in the room with us, our public information officer.
Yes.
We'll make sure we get on dates.
Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic. Ms. Jenkins, can you talk a little bit about, too, you also you do some regular appearances for us in our elementary schools. You have shared information over the last few years about different speakers, right? You've kind of helped to the district, supported the district in putting together folks who are willing to come in and meet with the kids and talk to our kids, and you are one of the featured speakers.
I have gone to Bret Hart, and actually we were, Dr. Birdie and I were trying to figure out how long, so for 5 years.
5 years, that's
5 years, and so I read to the entire student body in small groups, and so the only children that did not know me were the kindergartners, but about 90% of the students knew who I was.
That's great.
And they have great questions. What I share age-appropriate selections on Black history. Right. So I might do something for the little ones, Be Counted in Swahili.
Right.
And then we went all the way to slave narrative. So, you know, sometimes the questions are off-putting because they're so honest.
Right.
The Buffalo Soldiers came to Woodcrest one year, and
yes.
one of the students said, he said, well, you know, we would go as Buffalo Soldiers and go and get the Indians and bring them back to the reservation. So one of the students said, well, isn't that hypocritical? If you just got out of slavery, why would you want to enslave someone else?
Right.
So he was taken aback. He said, well, you know, you have a point.
Yes.
So, you know, it's interesting. Yesterday I was at Kilmer.
Yes.
I read to the entire second grade class and to the 5th grade class where my grandson is. And one of the young men said to me, well, is there still going to be racial discrimination? And he was an African-American young man. And I said, yes, because you can't sugarcoat it. You know, they have to know that it's there, but what part will you play in this?
Correct.
You know, so we talked about honoring all cultures. And if someone says that they don't see color, that's not a good thing.
Yes, ma'am.
They have to see the difference. They have to appreciate the difference and honor the difference.
That's right.
I said, and if you don't do that, you know, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
So
it's part of who we all are.
Right. You
it's
can't
part of our
say,
identity. It's
I
part of our
don't notice
background.
that you're Black. Yes, you do.
Absolutely. That's right. You see. If you can see,
you
see
notice
it.
that.
Absolutely.
But don't think that that's less than you.
Right.
And so, you know, we had that conversation. So
yes.
the children are really being open and honest. And one young man said, well, the slave narrative. Well, he was a nice owner, wasn't he? I'm like, yes, he was. But would you like to be owned even by a nice person? He's like, no. So it makes them think because
yes.
it's so far removed from their reality.
Correct.
And mine too, of course. But, you know, that they don't know, well, what are you talking about?
Right.
And I also shared my experiences in education. As a child, I went from de facto segregation to being the only Black child
yeah.
to going to a segregated school by law, then going to a very diverse school in Texas. So I was like all over the country. And they're like, oh, yeah, yes.
That's what I went through.
That's what I went through.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, maybe who I was, who I am today.
Ms. Jenkins, I'm incredibly grateful for the work that you continue to do individually, and certainly on behalf of the association, the work that the association does.
Yes.
You know, for us, it's the piece that goes on. Ms. Jenkins, it appears that your granddaughter would like to say hello. She's watching us on YouTube.
Yes. Hello,
so hello
Mindy.
to our children.
And Sekou. I told them that I would
be on.
Yes.
Good. I like that.
So
thank you for watching. Well, hopefully they are impressed by all that you are sharing.
I hope so.
You know, and again, Ms. Jenkins, one of I think the most important thing that you continue to offer is that discussion, right? We have to talk. We have to talk. We have to educate. We have to present the information. We can't not talk about it.
We can, and we have to be models. And it's more than just the curriculum. It's the curriculum too.
Yes.
But it's how, as adults, we treat one another. From say the superintendent to the custodians or the groundskeepers. So if the students see us interacting in a not positive way,
right,
then they're saying, well, you're not really walking what you're talking.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do. So it's important as adults that we model the behaviors we want them to learn and to sort of master. And,
yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Chapman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So as I said, Dr. Chapman and I have worked together for almost 15 full years now. in lots of different roles. We've gotten to know each other. We have traveled together. We've done work. I'm incredibly grateful for the work and the dedication that Dr. Chapman continues to bring to the district, what he offers to our children and to our staff members. So Dr. Chapman, over the last couple of years, you've been reinvigorating and growing our committee, right? So we used to have a separate character ed committee, and there was a cultural proficiency committee, and there were equity discussions that took place. And you've put them all together: cultural proficiency, character education, and equity. Those three things together. So can you share with us a little bit about the work that you and the folks on the committee are doing?
We are very excited that we have been able to put together, and I know you have a copy of this.
Yes, sir.
This is the 5-year working document that a large group of people, about 30 plus, have worked more than a year to put together. And it is our plan. It is our plan to support our core values, and I know you know the core values. They are
respect, responsibility, and citizenship.
Those are our 3 core values, and everyone should know those. Everyone should know our core values. And then the second purpose is to assist our children and ourselves to live, learn, and work together in a vibrant and diverse world in which mutual respect is the foundation. And then thirdly, to help the district meet 2 of their goals, Goal 1 and Goal 3. So the document is divided up into 7 major goals. And we have a chairperson or chairpersons for each goal. And that is their focus. So far, this year, we've been able to conduct 2 workshops for our teacher leaders and principals. As you know, in each school, we have been able to identify teacher leaders. In high schools, we have 4. In middle schools, we have 3. And in elementary schools, we have 2. So we have been able to provide workshop training for those folks because they are people in the district that staff people, parents, students can go to talk about cultural proficiency, character education, and equity. So they have been trained. We have another session coming up. We have a session with secretaries coming up. So we are very, very excited about moving forward with this plan.
That's excellent, Dr. Chapman. I appreciate it. What would you say for people that are watching, children, parents, community members, how can folks be involved in this work that's going on?
They can get involved by talking to the principal in schools.
Excellent.
and finding out who the team leaders are. They can always get in touch with me or Mr. George Guy.
Yes.
And Barbara Wilson is also a member of the committee, and they can also get in touch with her.
Excellent. What would you say makes it a little bit different now from the work that we're doing? How has it evolved? What's been the biggest evolution over the last 5 or 6 years?
Well, we think that because our district is changing. As you know, the district now is much different than it was when I first arrived 23 years ago. It is much different.
Yes.
So therefore, absolutely,
right?
Much better.
Yes, sir.
As you know, we have, I think someone has said we have more than 60 different languages in the district.
You're correct.
So we have so many cultures. So it makes it very important for us to be able to reach out and to respect everyone's culture,
yes.
Everyone. So therefore, we are committed, in order to move our district forward, we're committed to being able to respect every culture that's out there.
Excellent. I really appreciate it.
You know, Dr. Chapman, this year I was invited to the Chinese New Year celebration. I had a scheduling conflict, but if it weren't for the essay contest, I wouldn't have met the parent. So these 2 cultures would never have met.
Yes.
You know, so that exposure helps us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's good, right?
Yeah,
People talk,
absolutely.
people connect. I was there on Saturday for the Chinese New Year celebration. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible to see these children from the community and adults from our community who are engaged in classes, spoken word, the song, the dance, just a phenomenal piece of who we are, right? This is Cherry Hill. This is our Cherry Hill, right? This is Cherry Hill.
And we have to get to know each other.
Yes, we do.
And the only way to do that is to keep talking to each other.
Yes.
And being willing to take risks and go out there and meet and talk to people you don't know.
Correct. And we're going to learn.
Yes.
Yes.
We might not always agree,
Exactly.
but we're better off talking about it,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Ms. Jenkins, Dr. Chapman, is there anything else you'd like to leave folks with?
Well, I would just like to say that I attended a portion of the program that Mrs. Jenkins was speaking of, and I must say, I've seen a lot of them. I may have seen more than Mrs. Jenkins has over 23 years.
Yes.
But I would say it was the best. It was outstanding.
Yes.
It was very well done. It was professionally done.
Yes.
So, Mrs.
Yeah.
Jenkins, congratulations to you. And I want to say, Dr. Malash, this happened because of you. You made this happen. So, commendations to you.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, we talk a lot about stuff, and there's amazing people that dedicate time and energy and effort. It was incredible.
Yes, it was. And
Truly.
the talent,
Yes,
the student talent was just phenomenal.
absolutely.
You know, and I just can't thank Miss Giles, Ashley Giles,
Yes.
and Janine Barnes and
Yes.
Jennifer LaSure enough.
Sure.
They were there, you know, and Mr. Leonard.
And
you
Mr.
know,
Leonard.
because they were there, they pulled it together. You know, I saw the children. We had 3 weeks, and I didn't realize that January 3rd was the audition, and February 3rd
was the show.
was the show.
Mhm.
So we didn't get everybody on board till maybe the second week in
And it may
January.
have snowed a little bit.
Right,
that
yes.
first week, remember?
Yes, it did. We had to
Affected-
cancel one.
that's right,
We had to cancel the audition.
Yes. Yes.
So you know, I was just impressed with the dedication and
Mhm.
commitment and professionalism of the staff. You know,
And
so-
may I just add that Mrs. Jenkins and I have another connection in that I hired Mrs. Jenkins' son
yes, you did.
as a phys ed teacher at Thomas Paine many
Yes.
years ago.
Many years
So
ago.
I commend her for being an outstanding educator as well as a mother.
Yes,
That's
well,
what I agree.
I'm just so proud of my son. You know.
As you should be.
Yes.
I recruited him to come to the high school.
Yes.
Bristol High School West.
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You did. You stole it from me.
It's about growth, right? It's about growth.
Yes,
We all
it
get
is.
together.
It is.
Well, folks, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with me, and I'm sure the folks in the community appreciate it. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes. Thank
know
you
we'll-
so much.
If
Thank
not,
you.
before Tuesday night,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
At the board
At
meeting.
the board
So,
meeting.
folks, come on out if you can make it Tuesday evening to our board meeting. You can see the children be honored and receive their awards for the top places in the annual essay contest. Dr. Chapman, I will see you tomorrow.
All right.
All right, folks, thanks for
All
coming.
right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So if you follow along, if you're a regular subscriber to our monthly programs, you'll know that I always like to talk about the artwork that's on the wall behind me. And Mrs. Wilson, who's our public information officer, is here in the room. And as always, Don Bart, Mr. Bart, who is our director of operations, and he is also my trusty cameraman and sound guy. I keep trying to ask him, he's telling me my tie could be straightened a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Bart. I keep on asking whether there's a filter that can be used as well. But they always remind me to talk about the artwork. So the art that's behind us on the wall today is from Carusi Middle School. I had the great opportunity last Thursday evening to welcome Mrs. Tomasetti and Dr. Cafagna. Mrs. Tomasetti is the art teacher at Carusi. Dr. Cafagna is the principal, as well as a number of children and their families to talk about the artwork. And it truly is a highlight for us in this administration building to have the artwork from the children hang on the walls. So I'm really grateful for the folks that took the time to come out. So busy times in Cherry Hill, in some challenging times in our country. I do want to talk a little bit about school safety and school security. We have all, as a country and as a community, borne witness to the tragedy that took place a week ago. And that has an effect on all of us. It has an effect on us as adults. It has an effect on us as people who live in our community. Certainly has an effect on us as educators who are working with children, those of us who are parents, about our perspective, about how we look at what goes on, and about wanting to keep our children safe. I've had a number of discussions over the course of the past week with folks about safety and security in our schools. I produced a letter at the end of last week that's posted on our website that talks a little bit more about school safety and school security, that we have going on here in Cherry Hill. Safety and security is our primary responsibility as educators. Safety and security of our children in the buildings on a daily basis is our primary responsibility. Our secondary responsibility is to educate the children. And as you know, we do a pretty good job of educating the children that are under our care. We have great outcomes. We have children with incredible opportunity when they leave our school district. But first and foremost is safety and security. It's something that we talk about with professional staff, with administrators, certificated staff, with non-certificated staff, with everybody that works in our district. Safety and security is a regular topic of conversation. We run drills in all of our schools. At least twice a month, there are drills that take place. One of those typically is a fire drill, and then one of those is a security drill. Those of you who are parents and family members, you know we do three different types of security drills. We have what's called a lockout, we have a shelter in place, and we have a lockdown. We use the same language in all three levels of our schools. And it's language and procedures that we use in terms of conjunction of developing programs with the Cherry Hill Police Department, who works with the Camden County Police Chiefs, as well as the Camden County Prosecutor's Office. We use common language, and we follow common practices, again, to make sure that our children are safe. Safety and security is our primary responsibility. Our primary responsibility. People have asked a lot of questions, and folks have contacted me. They want more specifics, want intimate details. And honestly, we will not give all the details about our safety and security plans. We have security plans for all 19 of our schools that go into very, very specific levels of detail with different things that may take place. We don't publish that publicly, and we don't talk about all the details publicly. One, and primarily, because that information does not need to be out publicly. But it is something that we do and something that we develop. I have the great opportunity to work with Chief Bud Monahan, who's the police chief in Cherry Hill. We meet face-to-face a minimum of once a month, and we're in regular contact throughout the month. We have a district director of security in Anthony Saporito. Mr. Saporito was a career law enforcement officer here in Cherry Hill. He's in his third year with the school district. He serves as our direct liaison between the school district and the police department. Mr. Saporito is dedicated, as are the employees here in Cherry Hill, to the safety and security of our kids. So this is something that we talk about. Folks, I encourage you, if you have questions, contact me. Contact us at the school directly. One of the things that I always ask of people is not to devolve into arguing and typing angrily onto social media. Our children listen to and hear what we say. They follow along. They look to us as adults about how we react to situations and how we deal with situations. Ms. Jenkins was talking about that as we do some of the Black History Month programs. Children look to us. And when people are typing things, children are reading those things. When people are angry and they're threatening and they're making accusations and all kinds of stuff that goes through, it is not positive. There is a way to have a positive discourse about what goes on. But please, engage us in a conversation. If you have specific questions, ask. Again, we have regular and ongoing discussions with the Cherry Hill Police. It's regular discussions that take place in each one of our schools. I have a meeting coming up next week where we have board members participating in a meeting with the mayor, with folks from the police department, folks from the township, folks from our district. Again, to review who we are and what we do in terms of safety and security. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember, safety and security is everybody's responsibility. There are specific protocols that we use in our buildings in terms of getting in. Our buildings are locked throughout the day. Please do not go to a door and knock on a door. Please don't ask somebody to prop a door open. Don't ask a child to open a door. Please follow our procedures. All of us can contribute to the schools being safer. All of us can contribute to our children being safer in the schools. So there were a couple of questions that came through as well. The first one was, what is your opinion on the walkouts of school? And will there be consequences if people do walk out? So again, there's been a lot of discussion in the media and in the press about scheduled walkouts. One scheduled on March 14th, one that I've heard that's scheduled on March 24th, which is a Saturday, and one that's scheduled on April 20th. We currently have asked the school principals, especially the secondary level, to engage the students in discussion about if they're planning a walkout, what is the purpose? What do they want to do and where do they want to go? We will be meeting with children. We have policy about that. It's called disorder and demonstration. Do I want children leaving our buildings in mass? I do not. If children feel the need to get together and they want to talk and there's something they need to address, there are ways to do that. Again, safety and security, if that's our primary responsibility, the last thing I want is a whole bunch of kids going outside the school trying to supervise them and making sure that they are safe. So if there are walkouts planned, students or parents that are following along, please let us know. We would much rather be engaged in the discussion to work with the kids than to be surprised by it. Another question that came through: when will we find out which projects will be included in the bond referendum, and will each school get some sort of improvement? Great question. So we have a bond referendum coming up on October 2nd of 2018. We've engaged in our Cherry Hill 2020 discussion over the course of the last year and a half, and we're coming down the final stretch for the identification of specific projects. On March 27th, at the Board of Education meeting, at the action meeting, we expect the board to adopt the projects to be included in the referendum. We have discussions at each one of our board meetings, as well as the Strategic Planning Committee of the board. The Strategic Planning Committee meets the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. in the Malberg Administration Building. When the projects are identified and finally put out there, yes, there will be projects in all 19 of our schools. There's work that needs to be done in all 19 of our schools and on the grounds of our schools as well. So those projects will be coming out as soon as that information is available. And the board, because again, remember our process, information has to go through the board has to approve, and then can be put out publicly. As that information is available, we'll continue to publish that and put that out. We will have ongoing discussions through PTA and with Zone PTA about what the projects are and what we'll go through. Also remember that our next Coffee and Conversation, if you want to get into more specific detail, is this coming Monday, which is February 26th at High School West at 7 p.m. There's a presentation that I do, and Mrs. Wilson joins me, and we talk about some of the work that we are intending to do. So I encourage you, this coming Monday, February the 26th at 7 p.m., join me at High School West, and we will be in the Media Center. Mrs. Wilson, right? Media Center, 7 p.m. At High School West. Again, our primary focus as we look at the projects is needed work in the infrastructure in our buildings, as well as safety and security and the health of our children. Some other upcoming events that are taking place. If you have not been online or you have not stopped by one of our high schools, their annual musicals are coming up. High School East this year is producing Music Man, a phenomenal and enjoyable show. I encourage you to get your tickets. It's opening soon. At High School West, Phantom of the Opera is the show that they're doing. Again, another phenomenal show. I encourage you to get out and to support our student thespians and see the productions at both of the high schools. All three of our middle schools, Beck, Carusi, and Rosa, will be doing spring shows as well. See the district website, see the school websites for more information about when the shows are going to be produced, and I encourage you to get out and see them. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, so this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, our Cherry Hill High School East boys swim team and girls swim team are both competing in the state championship. The girls are on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. In the natatorium at TCNJ at the College of New Jersey, and the boys will be on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. in the natatorium at the College of New Jersey. So if you're a swimmer, and we have a lot of big-time swimmers here in Cherry Hill, head up to TCNJ on Saturday morning and Sunday morning and support our High School East boys and girls swim teams. We wish them luck. We also have a number of children, a number of young men, who are wrestling in the annual tournament headed into the state tournament this weekend. Boys from both High School East and High School West. We wish them the best, as well as the basketball teams that are headed into the state tournament as well. So please get out and support them. Some community things that are taking place I'd like to share with you. If you haven't yet picked up the children's event calendar for the Cherry Hill Library, I'm on the library board. One of my favorite activities every month is being at the library. The children's activity calendar, event calendar is available. You can also check the library website, lots of information. And coming up in just about a month's time is the next book sale at the library. If you are a reader, I encourage you to mark your calendar for the end of March. It's the second to last weekend in March. That Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is the book sale at the library. Also, Cherry Hill Library is doing a clothing and shoe drive fundraiser. So if you frequent the library, or if you are not a frequent visitor and you want to stop by, they are doing a clothing and shoe drive, part of their teen ambassador work. Mrs. Wilson, do we have any other questions coming through? Well, then let me share what is on my current reading list as we are here in getting towards the end of February. I like to share my books with what's going on. So two books that I like to do together. So the first is The Stranger by Albert Camus. Have you read The Stranger recently? Pick it up. Fascinating story. It's very self-reflective. You're going to want to think about it and ask questions about yourself after you read it. And the second one, Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. A little bit of a longer read, but again, an incredible book. Very timely. I like to pick this up at this time of year, but I encourage you to take a look at Invisible Man. I have not yet. I just got this book, was passed on to me by a colleague today, The Bread of Angels, A Journey of Love and Faith. I'll be looking forward to reading this. It has come highly recommended by more than one person here at Malvern. Over the last couple of years, I've gone out to meet with new families to Cherry Hill. In fact, if you're a new family or if you have a neighbor that's a new family who's children in their district, I like to come out and visit families and talk about why did you come to Cherry Hill? What's your impression so far? What can we improve upon? One of the folks that I met with, Rhonda Williams, she sent me, this is a book that she self-published called Repurchased. Just came through. I'll be reading this soon as well. Very intrigued by the story. This is a book we continue to read and reread with our administrative staff, Student Voice, The Instrument of Change, Rasqualia and Mickey Corso. Again, a phenomenal piece. If you are an educator and you're not working in Cherry Hill, I encourage you to pick up the book. Follow along with what Dr. Qualia and Dr. Corso are writing about. And then two other books. It's a book that I picked up last year, A Wreath for Emmett Till. It's written in poetic verse. Adults, I would encourage you to read this and then discuss it and read it with your children. This is not just a book for children. In fact, I would encourage an adult to read it with the child and to go through. Incredibly powerful story. Incredibly powerful story. But A Wreath for Emmett Till. And then Kay and Adley. We just distributed these to all the administrators yesterday. Russ Qualia, who's a consultant we work with in the district, who wrote the Student Voice book, he and his daughter have just published this book. In fact, ASCD, the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, this is the first children's book that they published. So our principals will be reading this in school with some of our children. So I encourage you, always read to kids and find some time, please, to be kind. Again, my mug, which has water in it at this time of day, be kind. You know, folks, I ask you all the time in what I write in the newsletter that we put out, when we do the videos, and when we talk, to be kind. Please remember that your words have significance and your words matter. Your words can serve to brighten somebody's day or to tear somebody's day down. So I encourage you, use your words for good and be kind. Share a word. When you're in the district, please make sure that you speak to everybody who's here. When you ring the buzzer and they ask you to give your name and state your purpose for the visit, please do that. Okay? And when you see our custodians and our secretaries and our support staff, thank them for the work that they do. Those folks keep our district running. Thanks for following along. I look forward to seeing you all soon.